And welcome back, everyone, to the Lantern Corps. We got one more next week, and that's the end of Lantern Corps till the following month. Because next month we switch over to the Digimon videos again. But coming to us from Shade Night, you asked the question, what is the Lantern Corps of Obi Wan Kenobi? And I haven't done a lot of Star Wars characters on here. The problem with Star Wars characters is that half of them are evil. And most of them are pretty, I think I've done Vader. I think I did Vader. I think I did Sidious. I'm going to bring my playlist up for this right now, because I'm curious how many Star Wars characters I've actually done for the Lantern Corps series. I've done Star Wars characters at the Yin Yang in literally every other series I do on this channel. Save for, I think, Digimon? I think that might be the only one where I think I've yet to do a Star Wars character. But everything else from What If, who would win, obviously, Pokemon team creation, Zanpakuto creation, I've done it pretty much all. Let me rephrase that. All of them I have done a Star Wars character for, and I want to say I have done it at least once or twice for this series. Okay, there are my Lantern Corps videos. Had to find the playlist. I've done 217 of these bad boys. I have a lot of videos, folks. But yeah. Let's see here. Okay, I've done Jabba. I literally, one of the first ones that pops up in the playlist is Jabba the Hutt. So I've done Jabba. I've done the Emperor, and I'm pretty sure I did Darth Vader as well. I'm just taking a quick look before we continue. Did Anakin Scott's right. I did Anakin Skywalker. I didn't do Darth Vader. That's what it was. So yeah, I haven't often done the Star Wars characters, not for on the lack of wanting. I've done Galen Merrick as well. But, and I did Luke. So yeah, actually I've done quite a few Star Wars characters in this series. The problem comes with certain Star Wars characters like Sith and whatnot, where it's kind of obvious they have to be like rage or fear or something like that. It's very obvious where they stand, because the Sith have a very particular set of emotional limits. Characters like Obi-Wan, however, especially as we see him throughout the series, not the same type of emotional limitations. We've kind of seen him really go through a journey. So, the question is, what Lantern Corps do I think Obi Wan Kenobi belongs in? Hello there. So let's just get a couple of these out of the way. Obi-Wan, except for that one moment against Maul, there's no rage. He's not a Rage Lantern. None. That one moment, if a Rage Lantern ring had been there, sure. But other than that, he's not a Red Lantern. He's also, unfortunately, not a Gold Lantern either. Now, he's not been happy his whole life, especially in that isolation period on Tatooine. Which we'll talk about some of the lesser likelihood of Lantern rings in a little bit. But the other ones I don't think he qualifies for, love. He doesn't do what he does out of love. He doesn't. It's not that he can't feel love or has not even loved before. It's just it's not his motivating drive. It's not the thing that compels him. And honestly, that is and greed. He's not a guy who is compelled by greed, his desire for more. Just not him. Just being raised as a Jedi alone kind of made that a little bit difficult for that to really, what's the best way to put it? For that to really sink itself in. The Jedi could be selfish, but they were not greedy. Despite how Sidious may have made it seem out there, they weren't greedy individuals. At least not by any way that would have really mattered. It would have been like an average level of greed. Nothing out there, and particularly not an Obi-Wan. So, that's those. Now, there's actually 3 categories I have here. What are the lesser Lantern Corps that you could call? Like, Lantern Corps that, in theory, Obi-Wan could qualify for, but I don't think does qualify. Like, they're not the main Lantern Corps. And what I mean by that is very much this. The ones in this category are the ones that, similar to Rage, would have had to have fit a very particular time in his life, or meet a certain circumstance. For example, fear. Let's be very clear. Vader was still kind of afraid of Obi-Wan. Like, Vader was like, okay, and even though the Empire really wasn't afraid of Obi-Wan, Obi-Wan still had a reputation. He was still General Kenobi. There was still, and if General Kenobi is still alive out there, that was a cause to be concerned. But I still don't think it'd be a Lantern Corps you qualify for. Fear Lantern Ring really wouldn't work, just because other Lantern Rings would definitely show up. If like all the rings showed up in front of them, the fear would be overwhelmed by one of the other ones. However, likewise, shame. Now, shame works for Obi-Wan in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series timeline. Like when we meet him after the fact, after the fall of the Galactic Republic, when he goes into hiding, it is clear. Like when he says to Anakin and their friends, like, I'm sorry, Anakin, for all of it. He felt so much guilt for what happened. So if you're catching Obi-Wan in that time frame, a ultraviolet ring would work perfectly. But that's not who we ultimately ended up being. And so while it could work perfectly in that moment, it doesn't work for the character overall. Same with now again, he's dead, so he could be a Black Lantern, absolutely. But there's actually a catch with that. He doesn't have a physical body anymore. He has become one with the living force. So technically speaking, while dead, he is technically a perfect candidate for a White Lantern ring in that regard. Because he's still a spirit. There's still life force in him. He's part of a living entity of energy. A living sentient being of energy, thing of energy. It's a really weird loophole for them, but I think it can technically work. It's kind of like how Deadman got the White Lantern ring. Deadman, we all know how if you don't know how Deadman works, he's a guy who died, but he's a ghost. But the White Lantern ring still attached itself onto him and still actually gave him his life, like his body back. And so he had to power the White Lantern ring. He had to basically feel alive, nurture life. And luckily, that's kind of what the Jedi were always taught: is to protect life, nurture life, value life. I still don't think, though, as a living man, the White Lantern ring works because they still had to take life as Jedi. Obi-Wan was raised during that time frame where, oh yeah, no, we are peacekeepers, though we'll cut motherfucker down. Like that's how it is. So I still don't think White Lantern works while he's alive, but when he died, weirdly enough, Black doesn't work because he doesn't have a body to go to. White works, and White can bypass the fact that you don't have a body. I can't remember if Black can do it also, by the way, but even so, because of his connection to the Force, I still think the White would overrule the Black in that regard. But that's neither here nor there. Let's focus on the three that I think he is the most likely to qualify for now. First up is the always standard green, having great willpower and overcoming fear. That Obi-Wan had to do that a lot. Fear is the path to the dark side. Like that, he literally had to overcome great fear on multiple occasions, and that takes great willpower to do. And so, yeah, he definitely could have been a Green Lantern in life. But one of the other things that the Jedi have, that Obi-Wan certainly has, is compassion. Compassion is one where you either have to be devoid of it, or it has to be your dominant trait. And then it kind of balances you out. So it's basically the antidepressant of Lantern Rings. But Obi-Wan was definitely one of the more compassionate Jedi there around. He sympathized. He was able to understand and relate to people on a great deal. Hell, he was even understanding of Luke, which is like, I can't go. It's like, I can't go. I wish I could go, but I just can't. It's like, you must do what you think is best, of course. And like, yeah, like he tried to like persuade him a little bit, but he didn't stop. Like he didn't force him to go until he had nothing, until he lost all he had. So yeah, Ben Kenobi, especially in his older years, was definitely a compassionate man. Could have been a White Lantern or Indigo Lantern. But honestly, I think it's hope. Because not only was throughout his run did he put faith in Anakin, was faith put in him time and time again. Did he lose his faith for a while? Absolutely. But then Luke was born, and his faith was put. He put his faith back in Luke, and Luke put his faith in him. This is a man who lost his faith several times, but never never truly lost it. You know, he fell into despair a couple times, but he never truly lost his faith. And he believed in someone, and that faith was rewarded. And even as a Force ghost, he still put his hope and faith in Luke. And yeah, I think Hope is actually, at least as a living individual, Hope would have been the best of the three that I think he really qualifies for. Now, again, because green works too, you could theoretically give them both. They're the only two rings that actually can work in tandem with each other effectively. But if you gotta separate them, I would go Hope over Will in this case. I think Obi-Wan is actually a very good representation of a Lantern of Hope. But that is just my opinion. Obi-Wan's a guy who really runs the entire emotional spectrum. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Do you agree with what I did? Do you disagree? What Lantern Corps would you do for Obi-Wan if you do something different? Let me know. Until then, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys for the next.